62 days. I am 62 days away from stepping on an airplane and starting this whole adventure. It's a little nerve-wracking because actually I'm finding that there's a lot to do and time is running out really quickly. I gotta get my vaccinations done, I gotta pick up my backpack, I gotta buy some clothes for the trip. But at least one area of my trip planning and my gear gathering and all that kind of stuff is pretty much done. And that's getting the gear to actually shoot and produce content while I'm on the trip. I found it was really hard when I was planning this trip to find some definitive information on things to take along for the trip, things not to take along for the trip, and just getting some good advice. I talked to some photographers, I visited a camera store, did a little bit of reading on the internet, but really, because technology changes so fast, there is no hard and fast guide as to how to do this kind of trip and what kind of gear to take along. So I'm doing it the best way I know how, with the type of gear that I wanted to get in order to actually shoot this thing as well as I could. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. First up is the camera that you're actually watching me on right now. I figured for a trip like this, you're going to find yourself at the beach, you're going to find yourself maybe in places where they don't like to have bigger video cameras or bigger cameras. So I thought a GoPro would be a smart thing to do. Originally, I was going to get myself a GoPro Hero 4 Silver because everybody raves about it and it's got 4K shooting capabilities and it's got a whole bunch of crazy features. But then what I realized is that my DSLR camera that's going to do a lot of the other shooting for this trip, it doesn't even shoot 1080p. It's just not that new. So when I was at Costco one day picking up some groceries, I noticed that they had the GoPro Hero 3 Silver on sale for under 400 bucks. And so I picked it up along with a memory card, and it came with a couple of batteries for a really good deal, 450 bucks for the whole thing. I mentioned that my DSLR camera is an older camera. In fact, it is quite old. It's about 3 to 4 years old. See, the Canon Rebel T3 was introduced as an entry-level DSLR camera meant for people who really weren't going to be doing a whole lot of high-end photography or videography. So as a result, it doesn't have a lot of the features that digital filmmakers would want, things like access to manual controls and even a microphone jack. So it really isn't the best possible camera I could have for this trip, but it does shoot 720p video, and I already had it in hand. So I figured, why spend a whole bunch of cash on a camera when this one might just do the trick? One thing I did spend some money on for this trip though is the lens. It's made by Tamron and it has an 18 to 270 millimeter range. My original lens was just the kit lens from Canon, so 18 to 55, no real zoom capabilities on it. With this lens though, I can actually get some distance and it's pretty decent. The only thing I don't like about the lens is it has a bit of a soft focus, but I figure for the price, I can adjust to that while I'm on the trip. Now, because nobody wants to walk around like this for an entire trip shooting video, I figured it was important to get some sort of stabilizing rig for my camera, and so that's when I went online and did a bit of research. When it came right down to it, I had a decision between two products to buy for this trip. One of those products is made by a company called GlideCam, and it's really sweet. If you've ever seen those floating shots on TV where it looks like the camera is just gliding through the air, that's shot using a GlideCam or a Steadicam or something like that. The one that I would have had to buy for my camera rig because of the weight of it probably would have sent me back about $300 to $400, a little bit out of my price range. What I opted for instead was a product made by a company called Camcaddy. Sony made a line of camcorders starting in the 1990s that had a handlebar on top, which made it really easy to get those low-angle shots that skateboarders really love. But that was then, and this is now. We live in an age of DSLR cameras and the GoPros, so how do you get those same angles and styles that you like from the skateboarding videos of the 90s and transfer it to today? With a couple of turns of the connecting bolt, the camera is tightly fastened to the rig, and now I can actually take it in a number of different configurations. I prefer to shoot this way, in a cage style, but I could also mount it with the camera facing this way and be able to take some action sport shots if I really wanted to. What this is going to allow me to do though is get some really stable video while I'm on the road, and I think that this is a great investment. It wasn't that expensive at all. This is the Tascam DR40 audio recorder. See, the DR40 is pretty much like a personal recording studio in a tiny little box, and it's really important to have a separate audio source. The DSLR camera that I'm toting around, and in fact most DSLR cameras, record really crappy audio, so you need some sort of external microphone source. The GoPro, not much better. But using software like Final Cut Pro, I can take the audio that I record with this unit and then sync it to the audio that I'm recording with the camera, and presto changeo, it goes from sounding like I'm in a hollow hallway to being up close and personal. It's much better quality sound, and it's going to make the videos sound a lot better. And that's pretty much it. That's the gear I'm going to be taking with me to shoot everything on this trip coming up, and I'm really excited to get going. I'm itching to get on an airplane and start to go and explore some places. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube for Gone John. The address is just on the screen. As well, you can check out Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course the website, gonejohn.com, for a whole lot more about the trip that's coming up.